Hi, it's Jack from Alpha Charts with a state of the market video. Today is December 4th, 2021. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Also, if you like these types of videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate that. It does help me out. So again, all your likes and subscribes especially are a big deal. So thank you very much. All right, so with the SPX and more carnage this week in the S&P. As you can see, we have the shorter moving averages that are crossed. And now here's the 50-day. I added that just for a bigger context. And price is now below 50-day. It is still rising 50-day. So that's something, right? But as long as price stays below it, it won't be rising for long. So we'll see what happens. Next week, I think this is an important area. It tried to dip below. Buyers did show up right here in this area. And so I still think that this, 45, 25-ish area is the important area. Maybe it's a little bit lower, maybe it's 4,500, somewhere in here. But either way, this is an important area on the cap weighted index. Now, looking at RSP, and helps if I click on the right screen. RSP, so this area is kind of like that correlation, I guess, same area. One of the things that that we're watching for is a rally, counter trend rally into the moving averages, and then a rollback over. That's a possibility. Again, gigantic volume coming in on the equal weight, which means the selling is broad based. As you can see, it's under the 50-day already by a lot, and living under the 50-day. So that's never good, right? Equal weight S&P is living under the 50-day. That's bad. But a counter trend rally, I think, is very, very likely, maybe into this area, maybe into the 50-day, and then potentially a retest of, this 151, 152, which has been one of the most important areas around. And if it loses that, I think then, 145-ish is in play. We'll see what happens. Again, if it happens, we're looking at maybe a head and shoulders look to it, right? And again, it's a process. This maybe it's making a right shoulder, and then that 151-ish area, 150, 150 becomes really, really, really important, because confirmation would be only if it breaks below and holds below it, right? That'd be a big deal. So just something to watch for sure. Qs, again, above the 50-day, looking actually a little bit better than S&Ps, but not by much. This is, again, the area that has to hold. Again, they both found support in a particular area that looks important. But again, the shorter moving averages are crossing, and 50-day is still rising, and price is above it. Gigantic volume coming in. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a relief rally. It just kind of dropped, top to bottom, 7%. It's a pretty big percent, though, in a very short distance of time, since November 24th. So we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a little bit of a bounce here and then maybe a turnover. We'll see. No one really knows for sure, right? And here's the Qs, equal weighted. So, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. I kind of drew it in here. Here's your potential head and shoulders, right? If it rallies up into, this potential area right here, you have a flat 50-day, right? Maybe even starting to curl lower at this point. So this bounce doesn't even have to be symmetrical, in my opinion. It doesn't have to come up and reach all the way up here. It can come up some, maybe hit the 50-day and roll back over, and that would be a problem. So then the question is the neckline here, or is the neckline here? If it's here, the neckline, and we break below $80 or so, $81 on the equal weight Qs, that's like really, 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 really bad. If it's here, it's still not pretty, and it rolls over. But, I think these are levels to watch in equal cues. This $81 is like that goes from really bad to absolutely terrible. I think if $81 does not hold, just my opinion, of course. But yeah, but I am definitely watching potential head and shoulders pattern that's showing up here. And living below the 50-day is never good. Again, it's stretched to the downside. Expect some sort of relief rally for a day or two. I would consider that a sucker's rally unless we start living above the 50-day again, right? So that's a good marker right there. And the short-term moving averages have to be starting to turn upwards again. For me, that's what I'm looking for. And we are seeing no sign of that right now. So there's no reason to be buying dips, in my opinion, on the Qs, equal weighted or S&P at this point. IWM, again, came down to a specific point and held. I think that's maybe the most positive thing that you say is that they did come down to potential support, and support is currently holding. Now, is it because it's just got extended from its moving averages and needs time to either let the moving averages catch up or consolidate into them and then roll down again? Maybe, right? That's I mean, living very low below the 50-day moving average here. But man, oh man, if 209 fails, IWM, this is a major top, right? This is a big, almost a 10-month top in the making. That's a major top. With a false breakout there. Ooh, ugly. Let's look at IWO. IWO, basically same boat, a little bit worse, right? It tested the 280, 50-ish level or so and held, but barely. So it closed in a lower 25%, so that's ugly. That's ugly. If IWO goes, IWM will probably follow. You could potentially call this some type of double top confirmation if it breaks 280, 50-ish or so. That's pretty ugly. Financials, again, below the 50-day. That's always bad. It looks like it is just consolidating and needs another leg down. Financials, again, nothing pretty there. SMH, the most important one, holding up nice, right? Above the 50-day, still rising above the 23-day EMA right there, below the shortest moving average. It hasn't rolled over yet, but there is a ton of distribution going on. So it could be people are just trying to, when I say people, I'm talking, large hedge funds and stuff like that. They may be just churning it up a little bit to try to get out of positions. That's a possibility here. So yeah, so as an indicator, it's holding up nicely. That's a positive. Am I super excited about it? To me, it says churning and we'll see. We'll see. But I think the 50 being above the 50-day is definitely a positive. Lumber. There you go. Lumber. So it held again this week, right? It was trying to break down, held again this week. So that's a positive. Above the 50-day, that's a positive, but really just in a range. So in my opinion, no indicator yet. If it rolls back over and breaks, again, it's 83, 83.50, 83.75-ish area, I think that's definitely a negative on the market. Right now, everything is kind of flattish on the moving averages. So again, no signal on lumber. Bond ratios. Clean up the chart as I always do. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So what we want to avoid is things that look like this. And so far we have something that is starting to look maybe like this, right? It's kind of what it looks like. And we've seen some of these false starts before, and we've seen some false starts here before, right? Like right there, that's a pretty good false start. So it held 1.52. That's the important thing, I think, at this point. Held 1.52. Now, if we see another thrust above 1.52, I think that would be reason to get very, very bearish. Right now, it is holding below 1.52. So I think that's important. 1.52 is a big place, right? So we'll see. But yeah, if we see another big spike like this higher, maybe we're in a situation like this. where you see this, it kind of chops around, pulls back a little bit as that right shoulder gets made. It could pull back, and then voila. So we'll see. Definitely watching this. I think there's a lot of clues in here. Just be careful. Looking at the VIX, yeah, VIX spiked up 30, to 30.66. Definitely, you would expect it. High volatility. VIXN, same thing. High volatility, pretty ugly looking. Just pretty much straight up. Again, tells you that you're gonna get chopped up and things are going pretty nasty right now. Put call ratio. Are we seeing extremes? I would say we are not seeing extremes yet, right? And I wouldn't be surprised again if we kind of middle around here, if we make that right shoulder, and then we could get to something that looks like this, right? This is what we're looking for to be to really think that the bottom is in or being close to being in, right? And we're not quite there yet. I do like how this is straight up. That means a bunch of fear this week has been entering the market, but it's not extreme enough for me to say the bottom is in or close to being in. Definitely something I'm watching as a sentiment indicator. Above 1.4-ish, that's pretty bearish. Looking at some breadth studies, breadth sucks, right? Breadth is terrible. Here we go. It's at what 25% of the stocks are above the 50-day moving average. That's pretty bad. It got down to 22 this week, which historically we've seen before. No big deal, no big deal, but we've seen it before, so it's not out of the norm. This is what's out of the norm. When it got down to 2, right? That was back on March 13th, right? March 16th, actually. I'm just looking at the put call ratio. This was on that. So the 12th, right? See how they line up? At least pretty darn close, right? On the 16th, you already saw it kind of recovering a little bit as the market continued a little bit lower. But yeah, so that's something to see how it all just kind of lines up into saying things are just overdone. Now again, you don't know if it's going to be a spike up or a spike and then retest or whatever it's going to be, but what you do know is that there's probably going to be some type of very strong relief rally, whether it goes all the way back up in V bottoms like we did in 2020, or it's got to make a double bottom like a bunch of us thought it would. We just don't know the answer to that, but we do know that we can expect a very strong spike. So that's what we're watching to see if a bottom is taking place. Just don't see that yet, and here's gold. Gold just is not having any legs right now, right? I mean, you have this gigantic pattern. I really thought that this was going to be it right here, and then it rolled back over. I mean, just completely disappoints. But you're not seeing it as a safe haven to inflation or what you'd expect from gold at this point. Not yet, at least. Maybe we need some more time in this. But again, if it breaks this trend line again, I may give gold another shot as a trading vehicle. Let's look at GDX. Yeah, GDX rolling over too, gold miners. So again, just not seeing in gold. And I would expect as an indicator that this would be spiking. It's not. So we'll go from there. And Bitcoin last night. Let's do the Coinbase. Yeah, look at that. Pretty crazy. This is on the weekly. So let's just do daily. Big spike down. Now the buyers are showing up a little bit this morning, right? So it's only down 12% now. It was down like 20% or something like that overnight. Over the last 2 days, easy. So it lost this level, the 53 level, and it came down to this, 42.4-ish. So I think we got to put a mark in there now for Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, I'm saying, hey, it's not correlated to the market, blah, 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 blah. Well, I guess it is correlated to the market, right? At least somewhat. When things go bad, they go bad altogether. And, maybe it's just, crypto is just internet stocks of the 90s, with a new face on it. But some of them will survive and go on to become massive winners. But yeah, but it looks like there's just definitely it's correlated. So we'll see what happens on Monday if we get a big dump in the stock market or not, based on Bitcoin dumping over the weekend. Something to think about with Bitcoin, though, and I think JC Peretz from All Star Charts mentioned this, is that it never closes. It's 24/7, 365. So one day in Bitcoin time is really 3 days in the stock market when you look at it that way. And I think that's a good way to look at it. So things are going to be moving faster and be exaggerated in cryptocurrency markets. So maybe there's some kind of capitulation right here. Again, we'll find out, but definitely the next level to watch is this, 40,000 to 41,000 area. If that gets lost, then, we're looking back to 29 or so. So again, should be interesting this weekend with crypto. As far as how it relates to the stock market, I still think it's a risk off indicator right here. Just for fun, where's the 50-day? I'm sure we're well below that. Oh yeah, well below that. Man, that's pretty ugly. All right, so there you go. So just to recap, I think that things are looking pretty ugly. Again, watch for the suckers snapback rally. The only way that would get me involved is if we start living above the 50-day moving average, and also these other smaller moving averages are starting to curl back up, because then we can manage risk against moving averages if we need to. But all in all, I think it's a risk-off environment right now. If this makes a great shoulder and comes down, I think $81 is by far the level to watch, right? I mean, this is obviously a level to watch too. But if it breaks, $81 is the level to watch, 81.50-ish. But again, this could be a pretty good size head and shoulders pattern. And just for fun, looking here, I hate when I do that. This is a rough estimate or so. This is about, what's that? About 9 points down. So yeah, so that's pretty, if it does, just for fun. Yeah, that would kind of make sense. The 72.50 area and this, right? So again, that's if and when, and we don't know. And like I said, this could just, do this and then bounce and go straight back up. But we don't know. But definitely nothing is saying a bottom is in or being put in or anything like that as of right now, in my opinion. So just be careful out there. Cash is king. Even shorting is going to be hard, because, you could be short in here, then we get this rally and you get just smoked, and then it turns back over. You sell and it turns back over, and you get smoked again. So be careful out there. All right. Hope you all have a good week. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.